In the woods out there. We're talking 100 here, 100 there, being the difference. Oh, Allen's car goes left when he let the clutch out. Oh, and V Gaines, top end, gets in trouble. Allen's car, as soon as he let the clutch out, made a hard move towards the left, got over, clipped the block on the center line, and then further down track, V Gaines got sideways and went over. The safety Safari on their way down there. Oh, a scary moment here at Z-Max Dragway. These Pro Stock cars I mentioned earlier are just absolutely amazing.
They know how to win. .901, that's the best time slip. The first round of the Traxxas Nitro Shootout for funny cars. No parachute though for Ron Capps. Is this car going into the sit can? Yes, it is, and all the way to the net. And over on its top. So now the concern, how's Ron Capps in that car? Can we get him out quickly? The NHRA Safety Safari is already quick on the scene at the top end. Ron Tobler doesn't even want to look at the replays. Tony, parachutes came out late. You've been in those situations before. What was Ron Capps feeling at that moment when the chutes weren't hitting?
Well, you got to almost think that there was some kind of brake failure. The parachutes can get tangled up, but this was all horsepower. The Navicar just pulls away from John Force. It didn't appear that anything was wrong, but parachutes should have been out at this point. When that car starts bouncing, he's already on the brake.
Capps does his best to kind of slide the car to see if he can get that gravel to grab it, but it did, and it ended up spilling it over on its top.
Yeah, that was odd. Normally when a driver is heavy on the brake, the car will start bouncing, so I'm going to point the finger at brakes. The parachutes did come out.
He's out of the car. He's out of the car. Ron's out of the car. Ron's out of the car.
Kramer's car pushes over out of the groove. He's trying to hang with it. He made the right choice. Whoa! Derek pedaled it, tried to get back after it, gets it sideways over into the wall and up on its roof in the shutdown area. Derek Kramer's car shook, rattled the tires, moved over out of the groove. He was fighting with it. It looked like he took his foot off the throttle, and just when I was about to say that was the wise choice, he tried to get back after it. You know they've got enough power in that Hemi to run down there in that 680 zone, and I think Derek just so desperately wanted to qualify. Got back on the gas with the car out of the groove, and saw it come sideways across the track, upside down, into the left guard wall. It tumbled through the shutdown area. The Safety Safari guys, medical personnel right there on the scene. Scary moment at the top end of the racetrack, and we have already gotten word from the top end of the racetrack. Derek Kramer is out of the car, talking with the safety personnel. There you can see up on the big screen, leaning up against the wall, the Safety Safari right.
Oh, hold on. Thank goodness it comes to a stop finally. As John Force exploded a car, that put him in the path of Johnny Lindbergh. And from that moment forward and for a long time, simply hold on tight. Good to see some arms flailing underneath the parachute that looks to be shrouded over the top of Johnny Lindbergh. Johnny climbs out. Meanwhile, they're attending to John Force right now. Tony Schumacher, I don't know how many times we've held our breath with you in these moments. Memphis comes to mind.
Yeah, that was uncomfortable. This was a big explosion. I couldn't tell if if he had any control after it blew off the ground, because that was a big move. It come across, and when it hit Lindbergh's car, you know, when the parachutes get tangled up, man, they're just wrapped up. You got all these monsters with no bodies on them now just pulling each other around with absolutely no control. But, you know, just want to see some movement from Johnny here.
No reason for any speculation. We're going to step away, let the men and women of the NHRA Safety Safari, our first responders, do their due diligence. When we come back, we will update the conditions of both John Force and Johnny Lindbergh following a very scary funny car incident round 2 in Arizona. Conscious and alert, the NHRA Safety Safari did take a lengthy amount of time making sure we got the 16-time champ out. He's being transported for observation to a local hospital. Here is why that is. John Force right side, big explosion, and from there, Tony Pedregon just got to ride this one out.
Well, John's hanging on. He's collected Johnny Lindbergh. Grabbed a hold of his parachutes, and John's getting really beat around. Now, there are a lot of safety measures in that chassis. There's a form-fitted seat, but the damage starts early. Take a look at that raw fuel coming out of the pipe right at the step. A second one went out. Now, what John did in the seat was not anything that any other driver wouldn't have done. Take a look at this raw fuel. On the other side, it was a V8 that was transformed into a V6. Now, that puts a lot of stress internally on the parts. Now, what happened was when the engine blew up, the concussion was so big that it turns the car and repositions it, and that is the reason that it goes into Johnny Lindbergh's lane.
Courtney very concerned, Brittany as well. The top end, they were there as the NHRA Safety Safari was extricating John. Don Schumacher, a lot of concern. After all, he is Funny Car's winningest guy. And he's the reason the category is what it is.
First pair, Pro Stock motorcycle qualifying, Saturday afternoon at the U.S. Nationals. Joe left early, but he'll still get a time as long as those amber lights flash. Wow, Joe gets way over by. Oh, Joe DeSantis goes down top end. He got out of the groove way over next to the wall. Crossed the finish line at 154 miles an hour, and then he went down. Safety Safari rolling at the top end. Joe's been doing this for so many years. Had so much success. Actually raced door slammers way back in the day. He has made a lot of trips down the quarter mile on a Pro Stock motorcycle. He's a guy that definitely knows when you got to close the throttle. But something happened down there at the other end. I saw the bike moving over towards the wall. He was leaning it back, leaning it back. And then right at the finish line. Whoa! Larry crashes hard right at the finish line. Both cars were kind of hunting towards the center. You can see that Doug's car was moving over there. And Larry's car crashed hard. Comes to a stop down in the shutdown area. Safety Safari already rolling on the scene. We'll wait until we get word from the top end. Just an incredible incident here at Gainesville in the third qualifying session at Auto Plus Raceway. We're talking about a car was going close to 300 miles an hour down there, and impossible to tell from this angle exactly what went wrong, but the car got airborne, flying down the racetrack, and has come to a stop up against the concrete wall down there. And we will wait until we hear from the professionals on scene.
Racetrack, Sydney's in, waiting for Castellano. A couple of Corvettes here. They are in and set. Castellano, whoa, hang on there with them Corvettes. Woo, boy. Oh, Sydney got some oh, hang on there, Sidney Frigo. Into the wall, top end, over and over, and a wild one there. Is Sidney moving around? And you saw that car as he tried to stay with it, lifted, got back in it, and that baby made a left turn into the wall. And the NHRA Safety Safari on it right away as they are making their move towards it. The Safety Safari was moving before that came to a stop. So a wild one there for Sidney, unfortunately, is that baby just all of a sudden, Joe Costello, of course, he went 584, 9, 236. Mike Castellano at 592.4. But a wild run there as Sidney, unfortunately, Joe saw that baby get down there and it was moving around. He lifted and got back in it. And then that thing all of a sudden made a left turn and just went nose first. Oh, head start Monty. Don doing the chasing. Here comes Don. Don. Whoa, Monty's car makes a move there. nice save. Whoa, Monty Green over. Don Kritzky also into the wall at the top end there, as I believe he got into the parachute of Monty Green's car there. Don Kritzky will take the win, but nobody cares right now, because you saw Monty's car get loose there and make a move, and I thought he saved it. But then it came over into Don Kritzky's lane, and Don appeared to get into the wall at the top end there, trying to avoid Monty. And just a wild one there. But the safety Safari on the move at the top end there to check out the condition of both drivers. So an unfortunate incident there between Don Kritzky and Monty Green. And I'm not going to give you any information until I receive it from the top end, because I don't want to give you any false information. So again, just an unfortunate incident there at the top end between Monty Green and Don Kritzky. The numbers right now mean absolutely nothing to these crew members and the drivers. Safety Safari does an outstanding job, but you saw as you're watching go down the BIR quarter mile there. Monty's car made a move, and he wisely lifted off the throttle. But then it kind of snapped back, and the rear end came over.